Welcome to this special edition of Keeping It Real. Panel discussions featuring topics trending in business with small business owners who participate in our global community. Today, our expert panel are all recent winners in the 2025 Global Women Changing the World Awards and Summit, held in London, England, trailblazers and changemakers in their communities. Today, we're going to discuss the topic of awards and recognition and the relevance for small business owners. And I'd like to introduce you to our panel. Susan Crossman won gold in Women in Literature. Brenda Andrus, silver, Women in Sport. Shelley Goldstein, silver for professional services and honorable mention for thought leader. Lynn McLaughlin, silver for women in adult education and training. Elaine Uzowski, silver for therapy and counseling. And myself, silver for Business of the Year. Welcome, everyone.
So good to be here, Trish. Thank you. Good to see everybody.
It's nice to see everyone now that we're back from London, right? As small business owners, we build service awards and recognition programs for our teams and our clients while receiving recognition from independent groups and organizations. For my first question, do you feel it's important as a small business owner to be recognized by our peers for our work? Let's start with Susan.
Thank you, Trish. And that's a fabulous question, not one that I've spent a lot of time during my entrepreneurial career considering. And yet I do feel that it is important. I think it is a wonderful thing to be recognized and differentiated in the world. And I think that's a way for us to be getting more visibility than we might ordinarily have done for the work that we're doing in a positive way. So yeah, I think it's really wonderful.
What about you, Shelley?
Well, it is a tricky question, but the truth is self-promotion is really what we have to share our journey with others and potentially inspire others. Once I leaned into it, I mean, it's still a little surreal. I'm pinching myself from a win like that. I'm learning to embrace it because of the response I'm getting from a lot of my clients and my colleagues. And that makes me feel pretty good. And I actually think we don't do it enough.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, I thought maybe we would share how you felt when you found out that you were even nominated. Lynn, why don't you start? How did you feel when you got that email saying that you were nominated for an award with Women Changing the World?
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I actually had I was declining. I was typing the email, declining, and then I paused and I thought something my sister said to me 11 years ago when I was ill. When people do something kind for you or lend a helping hand, when you deny it, you basically are taking away the joy they could have given you. So I paused and I emailed back the organizer and said, can you tell me more about this? And then I found out you, Trish, were the person who nominated me, and the time and the energy that you spent in it and spent on that nomination, and I accepted. And from there, it's all history. I'm so pleased I did that. But going back to what Shelley said, that self-promotion part is so difficult for us. And I guess I would just say, everybody pause when something like this happens to you and think about the intention behind it. And maybe it's okay to say yes. It is okay to say yes and embrace it.
Yeah, for sure. Elaine, how did you feel when you got the email?
Well, the initial email I thought was spam. And so I actually shared it with another friend and colleague, and we sort of went through it with a fine-tooth comb, and then she noticed your name was in it, and she said, well, do you know this? Of course I know this woman. She said, well, if they wouldn't attach her name if it wasn't real, so I think you should, move forward with this. I'd have to say I then forgot all about it. It wasn't until I got the second email that said I'd made it as a finalist that it really had an impact. And, I literally burst into tears. I was just so honored and thrilled, to the point where my husband thought somebody had died. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?
It is kind of overwhelming though, right? Because as business owners, we do our thing and we do it to serve our communities, right? We serve our clients, we serve our communities, we have a market niche, And we never do it for awards and recognition, right? That's not part of why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
Now, Brenda, I'm going to ask you, because of the group, I would have to say that you would be the individual who probably would be most comfortable as a woman in sport, because winning is something that you do all the time, right? I mean, that's just a part of being in sports. You go into a game and you go to that game to win. So for you, how did it feel when they mentioned your name as a silver winner for women in sport as in a global platform?
Yeah, it's funny because you're right. As a person who's involved in sports my entire life, winning is something that you're trained to do. Your whole mindset is to, get to the podium, put the medal around your neck, carry the trophy home. So it's kind of like embedded into you your whole life of winning, and not so much being recognized as an individual, but more like a team, or it's part of the equation that this is where you're supposed to get to. So it's always, I think, unique to hear your name in a place where, when you get there to this special place with the Women Changing the World Awards, when you see all the countries there and you see the vast amount of individuals, hear their stories, and you're part of those stories and you're part of those awards, it's unique and it's different in a lot of different ways as compared to being in the sports world, because you're outside the sports world. This is all the different types of genders and different types of awards. So it was kind of unique in that way to be honored by a different way, instead of within the sports world, you're kind of outside the sports world and being recognized. So it was unique to me, and much like everybody else, society has got us to a point of that when even good news comes to us, we think it's a scam. Right. So, it's something. I did the same thing. It's like, then I saw your name, Trish, too. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't, Trish isn't scamming me. And the same thing, I took a long time to decide to go. And then I thought, why do we as women miss opportunities to be recognized? And we kind of have it embedded into us that, we can't be the winner. We can't be. But it's different for me because I grew up as, of course I can be the winner.
Right.
So it's like, yeah,
Right.
it was very rewarding because it was outside my world.
Right. Now, one of the things that we did is the six of us have never, we all live in different cities, and Shelley, we were calling you our adopted Canadian, because you're actually from the United States. So, but we had never been in the same room before. I mean, we've been on Zoom calls, we've attended networking events through the Share Your Stories community, we've been on other panel discussions, but we never had actually seen each other face to face. So does anyone want to chime in and give their feeling of what it was like when we actually met for the first time face to face, and we were kind of in the flesh right in front of one another?
Instant BFFs. I mean, it was like raise a glass every 5 minutes. It was just, it was such a great welcome. I love you all. I miss you all, the energy, the fun, and to go and have these great conversations. It took the relationship for me that we have here as a thumbnail and brought it to this warm embrace in person. And I really cherish that. It was fun.
I have to
Got
say,
along so well.
didn't we? I mean, seriously.
And then I
We had
left.
so much fun.
I miss those ladies. Oh, we're gonna get together on Zoom. Yay.
Yeah, it's so true. It's almost like, you spend a few days concentrating on what we were there for, which was to sit in a room with 55 other countries and 150 other women and sort of share in the joy and the positive energy that we were all finalists in an award ceremony. But the takeaways from all of that have to be different. Lynn, do you have like a special takeaway from that event?
Well, I just want to jump in about your previous. It's interesting because when we all met online, we had little tidbits of information about each other. But actually sitting and having a conversation and getting to know the intricacies of why we do what we do, why we're so passionate about what we do, and then being able to support each other from then on and even now has really been wonderful. A takeaway, the power of, oh my gosh, you think about, I don't know, a couple of hundred women who actually were able to be there. The energy in that room was so positive and on the ceiling from speaker to speaker, from activity to from activity. And the six of us were like from 8:30 in the morning, literally until we shut the lights off in our party room in the evening, if I might say so. We're talking about real world issues and what can we do and individuals and the impact that we each have. That was my takeaway, is that whole power of collaboration is really hard to describe. Once you're there and you're in it, wow.
Very true. Susan, did you have a particular takeaway?
I really did. I left there, well, while I was there, and then when I left, I felt so inspired by the power of an individual. The stories that we heard there, they knocked my socks off. The resilience and the determination and the creativity and the absolute brilliance of all of these women who were gathered together under one roof, all completely deserving of a win. All of the people who were there were just incredible human beings, and I left there going, wow, look at what this group is doing collectively on the planet. It was just really amazing to me.
You know, we had a lot of really interesting conversations, and we had a lot of really funny moments too, where, you know, there was a lot of laughter in the room. But Elaine, was there anything that you can think of in terms of the, you know, because we discussed each speaker, we talked about the energy in the room, you know, we kind of did our little debrief at the end of every night, talking about what we had learned that day. Is there any particular thing that you would share, whether it was with us as a group of six or from someone that actually had a very poignant message for you as an entrepreneur?
Well, I went in thinking, well, yeah, I've actually been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's trailblazing work that I've been doing. And I felt really good about that. And then, you know, I started hearing some of the other speakers and thought, oh my gosh, there's people
Yeah.
making massive marks on the world,
True.
still inspiring and trailblazing. And so, yeah, I walked away feeling in awe of some of the work that's being done, as Susan said, by some of the other women. But
Mhm.
honestly, for me, I walked away feeling like our group just had so much energy and
Mhm.
so much support and love for one another, like instantly. And,
Mhm.
you know, from Brenda, who didn't have her luggage with us, and we're all trying to, what size shoes do you wear? What size clothes do you wear? How could we help you out? To, you know,
Mm.
I had the amazing upgraded room that, you know, I thought, I can't keep this to myself. Let's make this the party room. And every night, no matter how long the day was, everyone gathered together at the end of the night and had a blast, and we kept on going. And so it was a lot of energy that inspired me. And I didn't want it to end. I really did.
No, for sure. Now, you know, Brenda, did you ever, because you have been, you know, I always relate sport with team, obviously, because, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, it's a solo sport, really. Like we're doing what we do generally on our own for the most part. But did you find, I don't know, did you ever anyone ever belong to a sorority when you were in university? Or like, I never belonged to a group of women who actually were there to support and uplift one another. And at the end of the time that we spent together, I really felt that there was this camaraderie that I had never really experienced before. And I asked Brenda the question because in sport, in a team environment where you're always with a team, I'm sure you always feel somebody's got your back. Was it a different feeling when you were with a bunch of women that you had never met before in a totally different environment, honoring you for your individual effort rather than a team effort?
So answering that, I've spent my whole life in teams in some way or another, whether it be a team sport or, you know, a CEO of a company or something. So you're always part of a team in some aspect, right? But you're right, this was individual. But I think the uniqueness of is you think about a woman coming from Toronto, Canada to London, England, and flights in disarray, no clothes, you know, arriving there, and then, you know, starting out on the first night with your same clothes you've had on for the last, you know, almost 36, 48 hours. And you walk into this restaurant to women you've never met before, and these, and these are about to be your new team members. And it's so many obstacles and journeys sometimes that you have to overcome when you meet your new team. And then you find out that your new team is open and accepting because you're open and accepting, because I could have chosen to just stay away, not do anything. And because I didn't have my luggage and everything else, but I chose to move forward. And when I chose to move forward, the arms were open, as you say, how can we dress you? And then the whole opportunity of making you feel comfortable within your sweatpants and your sweatshirt, and putting different size clothes on, and it's accepting the fact that the clothes, I know there's always argument that clothes make you, but I think what really makes you is the team that you choose to be on. And I thought that was the kind of the key moments and takeaways, is that here I arrive, I choose to be a part of it, and by choosing to be a part of something, I get back tenfold kindness and friendships and acceptance, which is hard for us as women, right? Because it's hard to put yourself out when you got all these obstacles in your way, whether it's in business or it's in your life, or it's in things you want to accomplish. It's kind of like, do you just just walk forward? Because I always feel like there's uniqueness waiting for you if you're there and you're open to it. And so I was really lucky, and one, because I think I continued to walk, but two, I met this wonderful group of women, aka you guys, and it was like, and then you hear all the different stories and opportunities that make you feel, yes, I made the right decision, yes, I belong to a new team. Each team member has something different to bring. Some bring stories from their stay in hotel rooms, some bring different stories from their stays back home, and it's uniqueness. But yeah, I say to everybody many times, you can choose the team you choose to be on, but you have to first, be open to choosing.
Yeah, very true. Now, Shelley, one of the interesting things that I noticed about the interaction of our group with the other people in the room is you start to establish these really unique relationships. So was there a way in which you felt that you had an opportunity to sort of open the door and introduce yourself to someone outside of the six of us, the Share Your Stories community, that gave you sort of the confidence to say, you know what, I really do belong here?
I wanted to be with everybody all day long.
Exactly.
It was, I think it was Elaine that said earlier, all these people from all over the world doing some amazing, amazing work. And you're going, but I'm just a coach. I fit here. And I think extending out to that and embracing or being welcomed and embraced by so many people. I'm a curious person. I love learning about people. I wanted to learn as many stories as I possibly could. And it was sort of like a party for me just to do that, However, or smorgasbord, I should say. There was just, what table could I grab from? Who can I meet? So I was really conflicted with, I want to spend time with this one and that one. And it was hard to get, even though we met one-on-one, we had our special time with our group, which was great. But in meeting other people, I have been following up one-on-one to have those 1-hour sessions and really just dig in deeper, get some more focus, because it was hard with all that was going on around us. But I looked at it as a smorgasbord, something fun to just go and explore. And who else could I bring into this world? And fortunately, there were so many other people there that felt the same way.
Right. Now, part of awards and recognition is sharing with the world the fact that we have won. And I know we all have done press releases and we all have connected with our communities to share in the joy of being recognized on a global stage. Has anyone in the group actually received recognition from their community, from the community press, that they would like to share? Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Lynn.
Oh, several, actually. So I'm in Southern Ontario, and we're so blessed. We have many local newspapers still available to us. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of the local newspapers and a BizX magazine here in Windsor, Ontario, that is very well renowned, wrote articles about me with some help from my PR manager. But last night it was so wonderful. Town council invited me, the mayor invited me to be awarded a certificate, and they presented me with a certificate based
Isn't
on the
that
town.
nice?
And yeah, and the mayor's comments was anyone in our community who's recognized on the global stage, we want to pay tribute to. So that was very heartwarming, very hard.
Oh,
But
for
it's hard.
sure.
It's still very, very hard. I almost declined that invitation as well. And Susan, something you said to me when we were all together, the universe is knocking on your door. And when you say no, what are you pushing away? What are
Right,
you pushing away? And I remember that and I think about that, which is the reason I paused on that acceptance, but I did go. So
right, right. And anybody else get any positive response to press, Susan?
Yeah, I've appeared in my local newspaper. I'm just outside of Toronto in a small community just west of Toronto. And so that was very thrilling to have an article in actually two local papers picked
Right.
up on it. But that was about it, which was wonderful. And then a
Mhm.
lot of feedback on social media.
mhm.
Right.
It was
Excuse
really
me, there,
swamped.
there Susan goes, that's it, just two major mentions in
And the rest of us are silent.
This is wonderful. This is big.
Yeah, for
It was
sure.
wonderful. It is wonderful.
Yeah.
It is wonderful. I think it's kind of interesting. I have won gold at an international award as a Canadian, and I kind of wonder if things are a little quiet because I think that is. I have a background in journalism, and I kind of think that's big news. And so, but maybe things have changed since the days when I was looking at those things. Is that's where that comment was coming from, and I am absolutely thrilled to have been in the
Sure,
Oakville
for
News.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's another question. We all are in business, and credibility, awards and recognition adds to our credibility. I mean, let's face it, to be recognized on a global stage with, I believe there's 55 countries, there were over, 2,000 nominations, 750 finalists, and you take that, do the math, and here the six of us are winners from a global community. What are we going to now do to share some of that joy and increase our credibility in our own communities? Does anybody have anything, other than sharing on social media, which we're all doing? Is there anything unique that you would like to share with our viewing and listening audience who may be sitting there and thinking, wow, this is pretty cool, but what are you going to do to try to push the envelope to increase your visibility in the community? Does anyone have something that they'd like to share that they may haven't launched yet?
Well, I'm doing events all the time online, and I think I don't think having won the gold award for literature at an international awards ceremony for women changing the world, I think that's pretty powerful positioning
Yeah.
for me as a leader.
Yeah.
But also it helps me with all the events that I run online. It's going to really help bring more juice to the work that I'm doing in the world. I'm here to support people who are writing books to change the world. And
Right.
I think that will help me get my message out of, we do have a mission here. I do want more peace on the planet. I do want people to live more fulfilling lives. And I'm very grateful to the awards organization, to Women Changing the World, because this gives me a new tool to amplify the work that I'm already doing on behalf of the people I'm here to serve. So, that maybe that's nothing really new, but I'm really appreciative of the impact this will have in amplifying the work that I'm already doing for people.
Sure. Now we have a few speakers in the group. So Elaine is a speaker. Shelley's not only a speaker, but a speaking coach. Brenda is a speaker. Lynn, you and I have, been on a stage on occasion. So as a speaker, is this something that you think will increase opportunities for speaking engagements and add to the credibility factor on our bios?
Well,
Yes.
for sure. I think, sorry. Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say the same thing. For sure. I mean, when people say that you've won an international award, that adds to your credibility. It adds to, the creed, right?
Yeah.
In the concept of that way there. But I think I always, as a speaker, I think the uniqueness is this, it goes back to everything we just talked about. It's when you're speaking about something and you're trying to connect with the audience, it's exactly what we've all talked about, all the different connections, experiences, because really when you're speaking, I mean, Shelley, you're probably the speaking coach there, but I mean, it's, I think it's such an opportunity to be okay with saying, hey, guess what? I won an international award. And I think that's where we lose as women, is we don't say it enough. Hey, guess what? I just won. And I think for me, I put it on. So when people introduce me, it's going to be done, because to me, it's like, hey, and guess she's a Canadian winner, a North American winner, and now she's an international winner. So I think it's very important for women to recognize that and talk about it.
Sure. Shelley, so we're all your potential clients here. The five of us are all, looking to expand our speaking opportunities. As a speaking coach, what would be your advice to all of us when we're doing those speaker notes, or we're doing those bios, or we're getting something ready that we may share with potential audiences who may wish to hire us for speaking engagements? What would be your advice of how we position the award?
Well, embrace it through storytelling, which is very much the foundation of share your stories, tell your story. And I work with clients about, we talked about self-promotion. If we don't talk about our stories and our successes, who will? And there's a way to do it without being boastful, because I know this comes up a lot when I work internationally. Certain cultures don't accept the boastful outpouring of accolades. But a way you can do it that feels honest and true is through a story. Share your journey, because when it's told, as you're sharing here, the hard work you put in, the years, that journey, we're here. We have the privilege of mentoring and inspiring those around us. And it's done through storytelling, not so much, hey, I'm great because I won an award. No, I'm good at coaching because I've won an award in X, Y, and Z, and bring that story to life.
Right.
I just want to add to that, because it's one of the things that I speak about, Shelley, is that too often we try to tell somebody else's story because we don't believe our story is good enough. And I think the success of a speaker, in my opinion, is to tell your story, because it is yours. You can't get it wrong. Right?
That's my work.
Right? I know.
That's my work. But there is nothing wrong with celebrating others as well. I know Lynn did a beautiful post introducing me. I mean, it's great to also share the accolades of others, because then we're on the journey together, and it's not only about us. So it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, thank you for mentioning the entire Share Your Stories platform is all about increasing the visibility. For me, it's increasing your visibility so that you can be seen, heard, and found and hired. So, I sort of sit in the background, put you guys in the foreground, so that it helps just to not only increase your visibility, but share all the wonderful goodness that you're doing in your individual communities. And sometimes I think, to Brenda's point, we forget to say that we do great work. Sometimes we forget that sharing some of the wonderful things that we do is part and parcel of making a human connection with the people who may be trying to listen to us, right, Lynn?
So, Trish, in doing this for everybody, for you, what has this experience been for you? What is the highlight of winning this award? 2 awards, might I add, right? You won last year, 2024 and 2025.
Yes, for sure. For me, it's because this is a passion project, it really adds credibility to all the things that go on behind the scenes. So each and every one of us is an entrepreneur. We all know what goes on behind the scenes before we're front facing with a client, right? Before we actually put our face out there into the world. So it's a wonderful, like I can share, we're getting 6,000 humans visiting our website every week since I won Leader of the Year last year.
Amazing.
So that really adds to the credibility of everyone on the platform, which is over 400 stories on 5 continents. So clearly they're not coming to the platform to see me. They're coming to the platform to see you, to see who's participating, what kind of businesses are part of this global community. So for me, that's really the highlight, is all the blood, sweat, and tears that we put in behind the scenes. It just adds to increasing the visibility and stands on the 3 core pillars of Share Your Stories, which is visibility, collaboration, and community. And I think each and every one of us really live by those core values. We've all demonstrated that when we were in London.
If I could jump in, so because I've learned from you, collaboration over competition, if each one of us thinks about the amazing individuals we met in those 3 days in London, I've got 20 on my list. And every single week, I'm going to highlight a new person to raise visibility for them, to say, oh my gosh, today was Mary Jane. Mary Jane in accessibility. What a beautiful soul. I would never have met her. So it's about, you know, if we're uncomfortable about ourselves, that's fine. Let's raise everybody else up when we're all in community. And when we speak on other people's platforms now, which also raises our visibility. It's a global network. It's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. So in closing, for our viewing and listening audience, because I know that, you know, because we've created this wonderful energy between the 6 of us, we could speak for the rest of the evening. But I know that, you know, for our podcast, we want to keep things short and sweet. So if you had to share one word to explain your experience, not only at the award ceremony, but the feeling a few weeks later that we're now experiencing, having been recognized by an organization that looks on a global stage and platform. Susan, what would be your word?
Expansive.
Yeah, that's a good one. Brenda?
Grateful.
Shelley?
Gobsmacked.
Oh, that's a good one. And Lynn?
Energizing.
And Elaine?
Abundant.
And you know what? Mine would be collaborative, because I have to say that the energy that we shared and the friendships that were forged, not only between us as 6 folks in the Share Your Stories community, but on the global stage, I think will serve us well in the years to come. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for sharing your expertise, for sharing your stories, and joining our platform with your point of view. So thank you so much for joining me.
And Trish, before you close out, I want to say a huge big thank you to you for being the business leader that you are. None of us would ever have gone to England and won those awards if it weren't for you. It all started with you, and we're all incredibly impressed with what the work that you're doing in the world, and very grateful. So thank you, Trish.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. To you, our viewing and listening audience, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this special edition of Keeping It Real. To our panel, I appreciate your contributions as business owners and wish you continued success as you lead by example as both role models and mentors in our communities. If you'd like to connect with one of our guests, you'll find their story and contact information in the description portion below. I'm Trish Tonai, author, artist, and the founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online. In the meantime, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel or your favorite podcast. I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we look forward to meeting you next time with another episode of Keeping It Real.
The award-winning Share Your Stories. I might add.
Thank you.